Okay, so first week of action is in the books. Time to do the Monday night recap, and then we'll talk about what we learned from week one. But before we do that, a couple of newsworthy notes. Number one, the Cleveland Browns are reportedly, or at least the rumor is, that they are shopping Odell Beckham Jr. Not sure he's the problem, but we'll get into that later. Rumor number two, or newsworthy item number two, is apparently that Allen Robinson has requested a trade and is no longer satisfied with being a member of the Chicago Bears, as he has wiped all evidence of being a member of the Bears from his social media. So it remains to be seen how that happens. There's some projected trade possibilities, and people are already pushing out articles where they believe that these two could wind up if these trades do happen. But we'll have to see, and we'll talk about it more on Friday as we head into the next week's games. All right, but we're here to talk about what happened on Monday night, and we had our Monday night doubleheader for the first Monday night of the year. And we have the Steelers and Giants to kick things off. They were the 7-10 game. Steelers win 26-16. Steelers get the banner. I get the green check mark because I accurately predicted the outcome. The Steelers pretty much dominated the Giants, especially when it came to defense. That defense heading into the season we knew was going to be amazing, and it ended up being exactly that. But Big Ben has a good game, 229 yards, 3 touchdowns. Benny Snell comes in relief of the injured James Conner, who left only after 6 carries. Once again, we have to deal with this. But Benny Snell looks good, 19 carries, 113 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster catches six passes for 69 yards. Nice. And scores twice. Saquon Barkley absolutely shut down by the Steelers front seven, 15 carries, 6 yards. He spent a good amount of time in this game in the negative yardage column, and there was just nowhere for him to go. And it was kind of impressive that Jason Garrett did not abandon the run before they had to play catch up in the fourth quarter. So props to him for at least trying to stick with it. Daniel Jones didn't look too bad, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, did make 2 really big mistakes that cost him 2 interceptions, so there's still some growing pains. But if you kind of take those out of the equation, which is hard to do, but if you take those out of the equation, he looked pretty good last night. And Darius Slayton was one of the prime recipients of that good work, 6 catches, 102 yards, and 2 scores. Overall, a game that was dominated by the Steelers' defense. If that defense isn't that good, I think the Giants give them a run for their money. But the Steelers' defense, it just the defensive line was just in the backfield for the entire night. No room to run. Bud Dupree looked absolutely amazing. On the Giants' defensive side, Jabril Peppers looked pretty good, and they did get into the backfield a little bit, but after a while, it sort of you saw the advantage that Pittsburgh has with their offensive line, and the amount of weapons that this team has is absolutely ridiculous. And I did like what I saw out of Chase Claypool. Deontay Johnson had the muffed punt, but overall it looks like he's going to be okay. They were looking his way a lot. I believe he had 10 targets on the night. But the Steelers team is legit. It is a contender this year. They should be one of the teams to compete for a Super Bowl. Giants, on the other hand, have some things to figure out. And so far, I'm not too intrigued by Joe Judge in his first year as a head coach. And is he going to make them run laps because they lost this game? I don't know. I'm just not in tune with that style of coaching that he brings to the table. So we'll see how it goes in the next week. As far as the second Monday night game goes, Titans win 16-14 over the Broncos. They get the pennant. I get the green check because I picked this one correctly. I'm not sure that the game plan for the Titans is going to rely on going forward Ryan Tannehill throwing 43 times, but I guess we'll see. But he gets 249 yards, 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry carries 31 times, 116 yards. Corey Davis comes out of nowhere with a 7-catch game and 101 yards. I know he's in a career year, and he's going to try to make what he can of it, but at the same time, I'm going to have to see it more than once, so let's just put it that way. If he does it 1, 2, 3 more times, we'll call it 1 or 2 more times, then maybe I'll be a believer. On the other side, Drew Lock didn't have the most spectacular night, but he was throwing to a lot of people we've never heard of. The only healthy targets being Jerry Jeudy and Noah Fant. Didn't have Cortland Sutton, didn't have Hamler. So he had about 50% of his weapons, but they still managed to, keep it close and make a game out of it. Melvin Gordon got 7 carries for, I believe it was, or no, he got 15 carries, 78 yards and a touchdown. Noah Fant gets 5 catches, 81 yards and a touchdown. Noah Fant looked really good, and they had some nice design plays for him. overall, not the greatest of games, but it does come down to the wire with a field goal after Gostkowski missed an extra point, and I believe he missed 2 field goals. I don't know, the game ran late, and I don't exactly remember everything that happened, but at the same time, it kind of goes to show you just how the field goal or the kicking game in whole has declined over recent years. I believe for week 1 it was like a 72 or 73% conversion rate on all kicks for kickers. So kind of a fascinating statistic. So that concludes week 1. 10-6 overall for me in picking games. Not too bad considering that I brutally missed on a few of them, the Colts being one of them. But I'll take a 10-6 record going into a week with no preseasons any day of the week. So, what did we learn from the first week of NFL action? Well, honestly, not that much. And the reason for that is, if you look to past years, week 1 is always kind of an enigma. You don't really know what you're going to get out of it, and you don't know if what you do get out of it is going to be sustainable. And I think the answer to that question is no, it's not going to be. So what you're going to see next week is that the teams that are good are going to stay good. The teams that looked good or kind of surprised you might revert back to their old ways. And the teams that didn't perform so well might be able to get over the hump and get their first win of the season. So you're going to have a lot of teams that are going to be 1-1 heading into week 3. That's just the nature of the beast. You're not going to have everybody's going to be 2-0 and 2-0. So it is a lot to look forward to, but I don't think that we can quite make any sort of real declarative statements yet about how this is going to go. The good teams looked good. The Chiefs, the Ravens, the Steelers. The bad teams looked bad. The Jets and the Dolphins. And there was another bad team that I thought everybody thought was going to be pretty bad and ended up being that way. But I forget who that was. Is it on my board here? Maybe it's the Browns. I don't know. The Browns kind of surprised us in a negative way. Home field advantage, having watched 5 games this weekend, 6 in total if you count the Thursday night game. The only thing that's interesting is that the lack of a full stadium allows road teams to be able to do whatever they want and communicate at the line of scrimmage. And going forward, depending on how long we have these empty stadiums, I don't think home field advantage is going to be much of a thing, because the fact that you can hear them during the broadcast is sort of evidence that everybody's going to be able to hear them. So there's not going to be any real, I'm sure they're going to still go through the motions and practice their silent counts and whatnot, but for right now, it also caused some problems, with the offensive line with the false starts. False start at home in an empty stadium. Honestly, there's no excuse, but they're not used to it, so it's just something to monitor going forward. And then finally, I think some of the play this week sort of determines that preseason is a necessary evil, and I don't think we're ever going to see 4 preseason games again. I think that is dead. And I think we'll probably go back to 2. So I think 2 is fine. I've always been an advocate for 2. And then we'll have 2 preseason games to sort of let everybody get the rust worked out and get on the same page. Because I think there was some obvious communication errors in all the games that I watched, and probably all the ones that I didn't get to watch, where, there would have been an added benefit had this offseason not been the dumpster fire that it was. And then for what I'm going to leave you with here at the end of the video was just an interesting stat, if you will, and that was most yards per play for week 1. I have the top 5 and the bottom 5. Top 5, kind of surprising that the Vikings are number 1 with 8 yards per play. I didn't expect that. Packers coming at 2 with 6.9, Seahawks at 3 with 6.6, Falcons at 4 with 6.6, and Ravens in 5th place with 6.5. Your bottom for your bottom 5, probably not that surprising. The Giants, once again on Monday night, were pretty shut down by that amazing Pittsburgh defense, so they have 4.5. The Browns pretty much shot themselves in the foot at will against the Ravens, 4.5. The Bengals with a rookie quarterback and a second-year head coach trying to make things work as comfortably as possible, 4.4 yards per play. The Saints is the most surprising one. 4.1 yards per play in their opener against the Bucs. I don't expect that to continue going forward. There is the situation with Michael Thomas to monitor with the high ankle sprain. We'll see how that plays out in the weeks to come. They do have the extra day of rest, being that there will be the Monday night game this upcoming week. So just something odd about the Saints offense, and you kind of, if you watched it like I did, you kind of picked up on that. And then dead last is the Washington football team with 3.7 yards per play, but still managed to win a game against the Eagles 27-17. So Eagles fans, don't take that stat personally. That's just something that happened. So I don't know how many more wins you're going to be able to amount with that sort of yards per play average. So we'll see how it goes. That just means they won the turnover battle when they needed to. So, all right, that's going to do it for this video. Week 1 is in the books. I will see you in the next one.